Alright, YouTube, David Harry here, and in this video I'm going to be putting together a Thunderbolt SSD drive. So basically what I mean by that is, I have got this WAVLINK Thunderbolt 3 enclosure which accepts NVMe drives, and I've also got this Samsung EVO 970 Plus 1TB NVMe drive. So what I'm going to be doing is putting this into this and creating a Thunderbolt 1TB SSD. Now hopefully it is going to be quite fast, but I'll get to that at the end of the video after I've put it together, because I'm going to test it out on my new Mac. Also as well, coming up, I'm going to be doing a bunch of similar things here as well. So just quickly, I've also got a USB-C enclosure here as well. Very similar to that Thunderbolt one, but this is USB-C. And then I've also got a cheaper 1TB NVMe as well. Same thing with that, put them together. Then on top of that, I'm also going to be going for the cheapest possible large SSD storage you can put together for yourself to go onto any system. Now don't forget, all the stuff that I'm doing here is very specifically for my new Mac, but these things will work on anything that are compatible, such as PCs, Macs, anything, laptops, desktops, the lot. Anyways, the cheapest possible solution that you can get for SSD storage externally would be to use a 4TB Samsung what's this, not EVO, this is QVO drive. So 4TB one of these inside of one of these, which is basically another enclosure, but this one is USB-C, but inside it is SATA. So I'm going to show how to do that, and this one is super simple. And also you can just put smaller drives in that one, but this is definitely the cheapest solution to get SSD storage outside of a Mac or any other computer. Not as fast as Thunderbolt and stuff like that, however you can get a lot more storage for the money. And then for those people who don't want to be messing around, putting things together and stuff, because some people just simply are not into that, and that is cool, I'm also going to be covering a bunch of just external SSDs that you can just buy off the shelf from Amazon and stuff. And the first one that I'm going to be doing is this Samsung T7 1TB. These are absolutely awesome, so I'll be diving into these soon and testing these on the Mac. Now what I'm going to do is just kind of get all this stuff out of the box for this Thunderbolt system, and I'll explain it a little bit more, and then I'll start building it. Then after that I will test it out on the Mac. Okay, so here is everything out on the table, and first thing is, there's the NVMe drive there. Now that's basically self-explanatory. We'll get to that when I insert it into the enclosure. Now as far as the enclosure is concerned, here's all the stuff that comes with that. Now we've got a guide here, or a quick start guide. Now for the sake of this video, I'm basically the guide, so we'll put that to one side. Also, we've got a little kind of cloth pouch thing here, so that's going to be good for when you're traveling, pop the enclosure in there so you don't get it all scratched up. Whatever you do though, do not operate the enclosure inside the bag, because it'll only heat up massively and it could damage it. Then what we've got here is a guarantee and contact card here as well. Okay, now just moving on to the hardware elements, we have got a little bag with 6 screws in, so I'll just put that to one side. What we have here is a little neat, basically it's a screwdriver. It looks like a keychain fob or something, but you screw the end off here, and then what it is, the middle section screws out, and we have got basically 2 types of screw mounts on the end, or 2 types of bits on the end. I don't know if we're going to be able to see that because they are very tiny. Basically one's a Phillips type end and one's a flathead. Now we will get to that shortly, because I will attempt to try that instead of my own screwdrivers. Now coming here, we have got a Thunderbolt 3 cable, which is pretty cool because these can be quite expensive, so it's good that we get one in the package. Also as well, this one has got a weird function on it which I'm going to try out because it might be super cool. What it is, it's got this little extra piece here, and what this does, it screws into the end of the enclosure to keep the cable attached firmly. So I'll try that out because that might be a good thing. You don't do it on the other end obviously, because that could be going into something that would never have, a hole in for the screw and stuff. Now it seems a bit gimmicky possibly, but I'll try it out because any kind of pulling on cables can easily dislodge them. So I suppose having the option to firmly affix one end, it might be a good idea. Now here is the heat sink here. It's just a standard aluminium heat sink. It doesn't seem to have any kind of like pad or anything on it, so hopefully this is just relying on just straight direct contact for the aluminium plate itself. Now the other thing as well, part of the spec for this particular enclosure is that the NVMe drives that you use can only be 2.5mm thick, and that's going to probably account for all of them. And also as well, they can only be single-sided. So like this one, if we have a look here, on this side we've got all the chips, and then on this side we have nothing. It has to be a single-sided NVMe drive like that. To be honest, I've never seen a double-sided one, but anyway, it has to be single. Now, if I just get them out the way, and we get to the actual enclosure itself. Now, this is all metal around the edges here, and then the top and the bottom are plastic. I don't think that's anything to worry about, because as long as it's actually being designed to dissipate the heat properly, then things should be okay. However, personally, I would have preferred to have seen, like, you know, some kind of like metal or alloy top and bottom there. The more amount of metal you've got around these things, you know, the kind of better the heat dissipation is going to be. However, I'm not going to second guess anything about this, because the people who've designed it obviously know what they're doing. Okay, now that's basically everything all sorted, except for one technical point about this. It's basically got a PCIe Gen 3x4 controller in it. So basically, no matter what type of NVMe drive you put in it, it will always be limited to those speeds, and also the speed of Thunderbolt 3 itself. Now in this instance, Thunderbolt 3 is obviously 40 gigabits per second. There isn't really that much difference between Thunderbolt 3 and Thunderbolt 4. There's a few extra protocols and stuff on 4, and also 4 takes account of certain other things to do with video and things like that, but the overall kind of bandwidth and stuff remains the same, which is 40 gigabits. I think that's probably about all I can remember to do with any pertinent kind of technical notes to do with the enclosure itself. However, within the links that I'm going to have in the description to the video, you'll be able to get more information, say from the Amazon link and stuff like that. So now what I'm going to do is start putting it together. Now there's like a little plastic pull tab here, so let me just pull on that and it'll just pull the top right off there, which is cool. Okay, now inside here we've basically just got like a board which has got the Thunderbolt socket on one end there. Hopefully the camera's focusing on all this stuff. And then inside there we have got our NVMe socket. Now don't forget as well, this is an NVMe system, not a SATA one. So if you're on M.2 SATA, it will not work, has to be NVMe. Now what I'm going to do here is test out this little screwdriver. Let's see if this works. Okay, so I'm just going to go for the star or Phillips head end, whatever it is there. And what we'll see here is there's a little screw on the board there. We need to take that screw out, because that's what's going to secure the drive in. So hold on. Right. I'm not getting much purchase on this. I've got no leverage with it. Let me just go and get my own screwdriver. Give us a second. Okay, so I've now got my screwdriver here. Now the thing is, I just couldn't get any purchase off that little tiny one there. Might be just because I'm a bit of a weakling, so I don't know. But somebody else might have like, you know, better luck than me with that one. So I'm just going to use mine here. So like I say, I'm just going to take out that screw there. Now that screw, like I say, is just something that helps to retain and position the NVMe drive when it goes in. So let me get that out there. Just put that to one side. Now, all we simply do here is just put the pin end of the NVMe drive into the socket there. So let me get the drive and let me just put that in there. Okay, so just push it in until it kind of hits the end, as it were. So there we go. You know when it's in, because it won't go any further. And then what we need to do is just line up the end there with that screw hole. And then what we're going to do is put the screw back in. Wherever possible, you might want to use magnetic screwdrivers. These are only slightly magnetized, the ones that I've got, and the screws sometimes fall out. Let me see if I can do this whilst I'm trying to concentrate on the camera as well. Okay, now I have to say the mechanism for this is a bit odd, because it's just relying on the screw to hold it and like jam it down, as it were. So the pressure of the screw holds it on. What it is usually, these types of mechanisms here have like a little washer nut type thing on them, which is a bit easier to use. However, that's gone on solid. It's not moving anywhere, but you will have to apply a little bit of pressure to get that screw on. So basically, that's all cool there. That's on solid. Now, what we need to do is put the heatsink on here. Now, what we're going to notice inside here, let me see if I can get the light a bit better. On the end here, we've got one hole there, as we can see. There's a hole there, and then there's two holes, one there and one there. So what happens is you just line up the heatsink accordingly like that. Now also, if we have a quick look here, the heatsink has got these like push pins on. So what we need to do is just push these down and it'll self-lock once it's on. So let me just get them over. I can't really show you any close-ups of this because it's a bit fiddly for me, but I've just shown you exactly what it is. You literally line up those push pins over the holes. So let me try the top one first. So just give it a bit of pressure and push it in. Hold on. I have to say immediately this is a little bit fiddly, okay. Let me just line that up better. Oh, okay, it's gone in, sound. I think I just had the alignment wrong there. Okay, now let me try this one here. Okay, you can hear that click going in. Then let me go for the other one. Hold on. Oh, okay, yeah. Right, do you know what it was? I think I had just had like the alignment wrong there. That's gone on super easy and super simple. Okay, so that's basically the construction done. See, the thing is, some of these videos might like, you know, seem like they take ages to do, but the construction elements are not actually that long. Now what we need to do here is just take this little tab off here. Okay. There we go. So get that tab off. And then we can position this back over. Now, I'm just wondering, right, this is symmetrical, so basically that WAVLINK logo can either be top or bottom, depending upon what you think top or bottom is. Let's see, I'm just going to put it on this way. So let me just pop this on. Hold on. Actually, maybe it doesn't go on both ways. Strike that. Ignore what I've just said there. What it is, if we have a look inside here, we can see there's like one little dot, like a recess there. And there's two at the top, one there and one there. So obviously that lines up that way. Okay, that makes a lot more sense now. Here we go. Okay, so we just kind of flip it over like that and click it in. Now, it doesn't snap into place because we're going to have to put these 6 screws in. So what it is, there's a screw hole there, there's one there, there's one there, and then the same 3 are replicated on the other side. Now, you don't need me to show you how to put screws in, so let me just flash through this bit. Okay, so I've sped through that process there, and it did actually take me a little longer than what I thought because these screws are a little bit fiddly, but they have to be because they've got to be tiny the way that they are. So it's just due to the size. It was just a little bit fiddlier than like most screws, but as you can see there, they're on. And yeah, I don't think the screws are the same color as the case or the metal on the case. However, that two-tone look could be a little bit trendy, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, so what I'm going to do here is just look at the Thunderbolt cable. Okay, so there's the Thunderbolt cable. And like I'd said before, it's got this weird little locking mechanism on that comes off. So that literally just slides over the end of the cable like that. So it goes over there. And then, hopefully you can get a little bit of focus here. There's like a little screw that's popping through there. Now that screw lines up with a hole which is just above or below the port there, depending upon how you look at it. So let me just see how fiddly or not this is going to be. So if you give us a second, I'll do this in real time because if this is going to take too long, then it might not be something you would want to do. Okay. I think that's okay. Yeah, that's in. Oh, okay, that's not as fiddly as I thought it would be. Now don't forget, the reason why you might want to do that is because it just stops the cable from getting accidentally pulled out. Now you can't do nothing with this end of the cable that goes into wherever it's going, like a computer. But I suppose, you know, the more security that you've got so that the cable doesn't pop out, the better. And don't forget, you don't have to put it on, so it's an option. Okay, so what I'm going to do here then is I'm going to plug this into the Mac. Now, you don't need me to show you how to plug this end into, you know, a Thunderbolt port on the Mac, because the reason why I'm going to do this now is so I can do a screen capture, because we'll see it a bit more clearly, because there's some things that we're going to have to do to this to prep it before we can start using it. Okay, so I'm just going to plug it in and do some screen capturing now. Okay, so I've plugged the drive in and it is now showing up on my desktop as Untitled 2. Now the thing here is the NVMe disk that I've got within inside the enclosure, or the NVMe drive. I keep calling them disks, but you know what I'm talking about. The thing is, the NVMe drive, I've actually used it today, so it was already pre-formatted. However, regardless of whether you buy one brand new or you've got one spare and you just put it into the enclosure, I would recommend that you do a fresh format regardless. So I'm going to run through that procedure of formatting it now. So the easiest way to do that is to come up to the search tool up here and then start typing in disk. And then at some point, there we go, it's going to come up and it'll probably have disk utility at the top there. But wherever disk utility appears in this list, just click on disk utility. That's going to open up the disk utility for us as well. Now the thing is here, it's very important that you come to view, tap on view, and make sure it's showing show all devices, because if it doesn't, if it's on show only volumes, we'll only see the volumes on the disk. We won't see the actual kind of raw disk itself, as it were. So like I say, make sure you are on show all devices, and then we will get the name of the disk here. So make sure you've got the name of the disk highlighted, and then come up to erase. Now I would strongly recommend that we use exFAT. The reason why I'm suggesting exFAT is because then the drive can be used to read and write on other devices, such as Windows devices or computers or laptops and stuff, or basically anything that's compatible with exFAT. Also, as far as the actual scheme is concerned here, leave it on MBR or master boot record. You could put it on GUID, but generally removable devices would tend to use master boot record, and the size of it and everything won't be an issue. So leave it as is like that, and then click on erase. Now that's just going to go off. It'll be quite quick. There we go. It's erased already. Okay, so there we go. So we have now got a fresh drive. So let's just exit the disk utility. Now what I'm going to do here is do some speed tests. Let's see what's going on. So I've got the Blackmagic disk speed test here. Now there are a number of different types of speed tests, like, you know, applications you can use. I'm going to use this one because this is very pertinent for what I do, because on this Mac I'm going to be doing a lot of video editing, so large files need to be kind of like written and read very fast and stuff like that. So this is going to be really good for me to get a gauge of the speed of the drives. Other types of disk speed test utilities are going to test for like random small files and, like, you know, tiny files and stuff like that. However, this is going to be good enough for my purposes. So straight away, what I'm going to do here is test the internal drive, so we've got a reference, and I'm going to be using 5 GB as the test file. So let me just start that. Okay. Right. As you can see there, those speeds are just absolutely insane. That's just madness there, I think. It's mega fast. I mean, there are faster drives out there than what this internal is on this Mac. However, that is not a slow drive. Okay, so that's just to give us an idea. I'll say we're averaging over 5,500 megabytes per second easily for write, and we're easily over 5,000 for read. What's really quite odd here is that normally that's the other way around. The highest speed is normally for read, and write is usually slower, but that there is just immense. Okay, so let me stop that. Now what I'm going to do is click on the cog here, and we're going to go select target drive. And then what we're going to do here is click on Untitled, because that is the name of the drive. Oh yeah, when you were doing the disk formatting, you can give your drive a name that means something. I didn't do that. I just called it Untitled. Well, I left it on Untitled. Okay, so select Untitled, and then we'll click Open. And then it's still going to test for 5 gigabytes. Now this is going to be a lot slower, but let's just see how much slower. Okay. Not happy with that. Oh, I'm happy with that though. Okay, right, let me just let this run through a bit. Okay. Right, I have to say immediately, I am disappointed with that write speed. Now, don't get me wrong, it is fast, okay? But what it is, this Samsung drive that's inside the enclosure, that will easily do well over, say, 2,600 when it is inside my PCs. And the read speeds will actually go over 3,000 as well. So the read speed here, I'm really impressed with it. You know, that is fantastic. Although I have to be dead honest, I'm not wholly happy with them write speeds. Now, don't get me wrong, those write speeds are amazing, and there's not much that I couldn't do with that. In fact, if we look at the actual table here, it's telling me that I wouldn't be able to record 10-bit YUV uncompressed 422 at 4K 60, but you know what, I'm never going to do that anyway. I'd be using ProRes for 4K 60 and stuff, which is going to be a hell of a lot like smaller and like, you know, less of a bit rate than what would be required to do it uncompressed. But yeah, okay, look, I'm not going to whine on it here. I am a little disappointed. I don't know what that is. I can only assume that it is actually the enclosure. However, yeah, it is still fast, but the read speed here is mega fast. I'm really into that. In fact, what it is, I'm going to be doing something else with this drive, with this Thunderbolt drive as it stands now. The thing that I'm going to be doing with it will require its read speed to be really fast, and it is. So this is actually going to be really good for me. Okay, so let me stop that. Do you know what? Let me just try something here, because I've got some files on the desktop. Now, this is a real world test I'm going to do here. Let's see. Let me go into here. Let me just have a look at one of these folders, see what the sizes are. So this folder here, right, this folder is 86 gigabytes in size. Okay, so I'm going to test that read and write on that Thunderbolt drive now. So what I'm going to do, I've got in, actually just give me 1 second. Okay, quick jump cut. What it is, I've got my iPad sitting next to me here, so I've just opened up a stopwatch app so I can time this. What it is, I'm more of a Windows user than a Mac user, and I don't know where the stopwatch is on the Mac, so I'm just going to time this with my iPad. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to drag this folder, which is 86 gigabytes in size. I'm going to drop it onto our new drive there, and give it a second. I'm going to hit start on my iPad. Okay, so the iPad's going there. So what I'm going to do is time this. It's not going to take forever to write, so I might as well do this in real time, I think. In fact, as it's doing this, I'll just reiterate again. While that write speed is low, it is good. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not bad. It's just that the drive itself is better than that when it's internal. So the only thing I can put this down to is the actual, like, you know, the enclosure or the chipset on it and stuff. You've got other things, like you've got like certain types of overhead as well on Thunderbolt and all the rest of it. However, Thunderbolt is way faster than what that write speed is, so there's nothing else going on the system, so there could be nothing else chewing up bandwidth and things like that. So that's why I'm a bit disappointed. I'm just being dead honest, that's all. However, it is really fast anyway. Now, we're just coming up towards close to the end here. Now, we're just over a minute 5 seconds at the moment. So what I'm going to do here is get ready to stop this when this stops. Hold on, if you give me a second here. Hold on, nearly done. There we go. Okay, 1 minute and 17 seconds to write 86 gigabytes worth of data. Now, I suppose in anybody's money, that's not bad. Do you know what I mean? However, let's see what it does on the return journey. So what we're going to do now is test for the read speed. Okay, so that was, what was that? 1 minute 17 seconds. So what I'm going to do here is drop it to the desktop. And now what we're going to be doing is testing for the read speed of the drive. So give us a sec while I do this. Okay, so start. Okay, so what we're doing now is testing the, oh, that's way better. Right, the read speed here is definitely much faster. Okay, right, I'm mega happy with this. Right, I don't want to let the cat out the bag just yet, but there is something else that I'm going to be doing with this drive, and this speed here is definitely going to be the thing that I'd be looking for. Okay, right, so we're coming up close to the end here. Let me get ready to do a stop on this. Stop. Okay, 32 seconds. Right, so it read back 86 gigabytes in 32 seconds. So it is quite clearly more than twice as fast when it's reading as opposed to writing. Anyways, look, I'll give it a rest there now because I think I've probably done enough there to like let people know exactly what's gone on here and stuff. Anyways, look, there'll be links in the description and everything to this video and all the rest of it. And if the video's been helpful to you in any way, please give it a thumbs up. Also consider subscribing to the channel, maybe getting on the bell notification icon. I will be doing a whole ton of stuff now to do with this MacBook and other Apple devices as well on my channel, so you might be into that stuff. I'm David Harry. Thank you very much for watching this video. Take care and goodbye now.